if you're looking for a wood burning forge, this might be the forge for you. This is the Whitlox Homestead Forge. This is the full-size version. They make a miniature version, and I hope you enjoyed this video. A quick disclaimer: if you can find coal in your area, I would recommend you go with that over this. Coal is quite a bit cheaper than wood and charcoal. In my area, I can't get coal for a reasonable price. I have to drive a long way to get it, more than 6 hours, and after gas and all that, it's not worth it. You will see a bag of charcoal there on the left, and I mix that with just big blocks of wood. I know quite a few contractors, so I get a lot of free wood, and sometimes if you ask around, you can get that too. However, if you can get coal, I would recommend you stay with that. Historically, charcoal or wood has been a very common blacksmith fuel. However, as time went on, it became less and less common as the trees got cut down, so they eventually started using coal. Let's take a look at the features of this forge. Now, the first and biggest feature for me is the adjustable firebox. It has this bar here in the middle that secures this brick, and it has 2 clamps on each side, and these run up and down, and if you unscrew those, you can move this bar anywhere along here, and you can also take it out entirely, and you can stick something through the other end. This has a matching V shape with this end, and you can stick something all the way through, so if you're working on a very long piece of metal and only want to heat the center of it, you can do that. If you want to make a sword or try to make a sword, you can do that, although, to be honest, it's not as easy as you would think it is. I would stick to just the basics when you're getting started. So yeah, you can do that. You have that option. This is a good size for most general work, small leaves, S-hooks, that kind of thing. This will work for most applications. Now, wood burns a little bit differently than coal. When coal burns down, you have these things called clinkers that have to be removed from the fire, and you have to design a forge that is specifically designed to deal with that. With this, what you do is you put a piece of raw wood in there. It doesn't matter if it comes from pallets, it doesn't matter if it comes from from a tree, if it's just a regular log. It doesn't matter where you get it, as long as it's not treated. You just throw it on here after you've lit a small kindling, and it goes on here, and as the impurities burn out, the gases and various, and the water comes out and the sap comes out, then what you're left with is a chunk of carbon, which is essentially the same thing as coal, other than the fact that it hasn't been compressed, so it is not going to burn as long. And it does take a while to burn down to that process. So after you've lit it, you gotta wait a good, 5-10 minutes, maybe 15-20 minutes before you get enough wood in the bottom to really start burning. Also, the ash that comes from charcoal is quite light. So as you crank the blower, most of the ash just flies out. Most of what you're seeing there is actually still usable charcoal. This pile here in this corner isn't, but these bigger chunks in here, these can all still be used. So I'm going to use those next time I start up my fire, and it saves me a bit of money and time. Along with that, it has an adjustable tweer, if you can call it that, on this forge, and you turn this back and forth, and it'll change the holes that are open and closed. You can see it has numbers on it, so you know exactly what you're doing, 2, 3, all the way up to 10, and that shows you what holes are open. So if I turn it to 10, now you can see all the holes are closed. This is 9, 8, 7, and so on and so forth. And they go all the way through the forge. This thing does get hot, so don't handle this once you're using the forge. Use a pair of tongs, just grab it and turn it. It also has this little thing here. This is just a work holder. If you want to put your work at an angle, you can put it here. You can lift it up a level, or you can put it just flat in there. You'll alternate through, because burning with charcoal or smithing with charcoal is a little bit more work than with coal. You have to kind of manage your fire a little bit differently. Now, what do I think of this forge? Well, it does have some. It is a very good forge. Let's just start off by saying that it's a very, very good forge for smithing. It works pretty well. I can't say you're disadvantaged with this over coal, other than the cost of wood. But if that's all you have, that's what you're going to be stuck with. Now, having said those things, there are a few concerns of mine about this forge, and that is, for something that costs $500, including the blower. Without this blower, it's less. But there are a few things I'm not too happy about. First of all, if we come over here to this attachment point, there's that little bracket there. And there's a hole drilled into the frame that's supposed to hold the tweer pipe in place. Those holes, when I got them, were not taps. And they instructed me to screw a wood screw in there, which broke off inside the hole. So I'm probably going to have to end up welding that to it. Second of all, is that the instructions aren't very good. When you get the instructions, there's a lot of different size bolts that come with it, and you're not really sure where to put which ones. And you're kind of left to guess and do a kind of a trial and error. It is not difficult to do without the instructions, but I don't know, it would be nice if they had some sort of tutorial on it. Thirdly, I think I mentioned this already, but they change models without saying anything. So 1 minute, you know, you go on the website and what you get is going to be something different. And again, it still works well, but it's just something that'd be kind of nice that they let you know it's going to be a different thing, so that way you know what to expect, and they just don't have any of that. The pipe it comes with is this massive dryer pipe that's just way too big. I don't know if I'm attaching it wrong, but again, with the instructions, I'm not sure how they intend for you to attach this thing, because I tried crushing it down, and you just end up with a mangled mess that doesn't stay on very well. So, you know, these are all minor things that you can work around, but if you pay that much for something, it would be nice to see that the company takes a little bit of effort just to write some decent instructions. And I'm not mad, you know, the people who I talked to, they were very happy to help me out. They you know, I had several problems with the shipping, and which weren't their fault, and I called them up and they took care of everything. So they're very friendly people, they're very helpful, but it just would be nice if they would market this a bit more and be a bit more professional with it. You know, I think this is a great product that has a lot of potential for people like me who can't necessarily get coal and don't have the time to go out and build one of these things, or even the know-how. However, you know, it would be nice if there was a bit more towards marketing and a bit more towards, you know, setting these things up and fixing a few problems to make them more user-friendly. This bar here is a bit, I don't know, when you really crank on this it can bend. But I'm not too worried about that. It really, overall, it's still a good forge. I just want people to be aware that there are a few things about this thing. Other than that, I can't really say there's anything real wrong with it. I like it a lot. Like I said, it is a very good forge. But I guess it would be nice if they fixed a few things with this forge. Other than that, you know, it's a really good product. I would recommend this to anyone who's looking for a wood-burning forge and wants to go out and get one. They also make a miniature version, so if you never intend to get something this long, you can get something a little bit shorter, which is going to be easier to manage. Yeah, so it's a really good product. It's not too heavy. It weighs about, I don't know, 50, 75 pounds. You do need somebody else to help you carry it, because it is a bit awkward to grab, which, you know, you shouldn't really be moving it around a whole lot anyway, but still, just so you all know how much it weighs. The blower is all right. I think I mentioned this already again before, but I have no prior experience with hand blowers, so I can't really give an accurate representation of what it is. It feels a bit underpowered, but it could just be me, because I don't know, and I'm used to not doing anything and getting a blowing, but I do like it a lot. I find with a lot of the electric blowers, it blows too hard. So this is about perfect for what it is. The problem is I'm kind of impatient, and when it blows too hard, you really get a shower of sparks coming out and you can get burnt pretty badly. However, it doesn't take very long. So there's some pros and cons to that. Anyway, go check out Whitlox Homestead Forge. I'll link to it in the description where you can go out and buy these things. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll try to answer them, or better yet, ask the people at Whitlox Homestead Forge. I plan on doing videos of me using this thing in the future, so stay tuned.